heater's going, just jump right into this. I've got myself a list of things to do right there. So I kind of tried to put them in order. And the first thing was to get this rubber backer on the back of this, on this clutch pedal. It goes right there where my finger is. Lets the pedal come against this rubber stop. So one thing I had to do was trim it down though. So it went from this, and I cut off about that much of it. So it's like a 1/4 inch, but it works. So now I'm gonna put some fluid in the system and start letting it gravity feed before I bleed it. So, and then I got a whole list of other stuff to do. So that'll be next. I think I'm gonna go ahead and feed this harness in. I did make some changes to this. This line represents firewall. These were closer over here, so I moved these back as far as I could, but there's wires coming this way and this way, so that's where they have to be. Which kind of sucks, it's gonna be right inside the firewall, but hopefully they're not in the way. And then, even though I did the self-exciting unit in the alternator several videos back, I still want to have the exciter wire for the alternator integrated in here just in case something ever happens and the alternator goes bad, I'm on the road and I need to put a stock one in there. I did add that plug in here, which is, where did I put that? I put it right next to the throttle body stuff. And then I loomed it so nice I can't even tell which it is. Oil cam, that's the back. It's gotta be up here. That's it right there. This is the 1-wire alternator plug. I had cut this whole harness apart to feed that wire all the way through, and it is the yellow wire in that bundle right there. So that'll be in there and it'll be ready to go just in case it's needed for future alternators. I got a new grommet. The other one I had was like a $40, I think, Earl's grommet, and I think I cut the center hole too big, so when I put the harness through, you still see light. This is a Seal It 3-inch grommet seal blank. That's the part number right there. GS 1003BL. Like the exact same thing as the Earl's one, but this one cost like $9 or something like that, so I got 2 just in case. So anyways, I'm gonna pre-feed this through. It's right there. And then I'm gonna feed the harness in. And then once the harness is in, I can start running the wires, get to the stuff behind the manifold. Once that's all tucked, I can put the manifold on. Headers are on, and spark plugs are in, spark plug wires are hooked up. This header too. Starter power wires hooked up, alternator wires hooked up. I have a ground going from the frame to the block. I just made another ground going from the block to the radiator support. And yeah, so this will bolt underneath the factory battery tray, which I'm going to put in there because it'll kind of clean up this stuff right here. This is where I decided I'm going to mount the MSD block. It is not fully bolted because I need to be able to reach the terminals, so it's just loosely there. I'm going to get some of this done and then I'll check back in with you. I'm not sure where I left off, but this is where I'm at. Manifolds on, harness is pushed through, nothing's hooked up underneath. Everything's hooked up outside here except for the one starter signal wire, so I have to do that still. Grounds are hooked up, power steering's hooked up. Most of the stuff's actually hooked up. My list is getting pretty small now. But next thing I'm gonna do, which I'm dreading to do, is get this up here on the bench, and I need to cut those brackets off because this radiator does not fit properly with those brackets. So I need to cut those off. Brackets are off. Doesn't look perfect, especially this side. That side. I don't want to grind on that too much because I'm just afraid of going through it and literally this dust goes everywhere. So I literally spent more time vacuuming up than I did actually cutting those off. So I'm going to go get the fans and work on mounting those. Those fans will just screw to this lip, top and bottom, but I can either use the self tappers or I could use rib nuts. Let me think about this. Here's the fans. Came with rivets and self-tapping screws. They're not very big. I don't know. I kind of like making something a little more nice just in case it has to come off. Rivets are definitely not friendly for taking off. Self-tappers, I don't know. I feel like nothing's better than that first initial bite, but if you have to take them off, it's just not as good. So let me see what I have for hardware on my rib nuts. I got a ton of quarter inch stuff, but I think quarter inch might be too much. Maybe not. Let me see. No, it's actually not bad at all. Quarter inch hardware, I got a ton of that. I might just do this. I might just do rib nut, and then two on the top. And then that way I can remove this. I'm gonna do that. Got the rib nuts installed. So now I'm gonna bolt that on there and then I'll show you. All bolted down. I'm gonna peel all this stuff off and I'm gonna set it in the car. Look at all that room. I don't know if you guys remember before, but the other fan setup I had, there was like ½ inch between here and there. So this fits way better, and I like the fact of having dual fans, and I like the fact that it's gonna be mounted properly. So now, speaking of mounting, I gotta figure out how I'm going to do this. Before I had these ghetto brackets. This is the original one of these. Yeah, I can tell already that I don't think I can use that. Yeah, see the holes aren't even lined up. Holes are like right there. And that lip is way far away, which is a bummer. I kind of wanted to use this, but I can't. Cool. I'm excited about that. I like that a lot better than my old setup. I never had any issues with this setup, but I always hated the way I had to use these brackets to hold I use these brackets to pinch basically the shroud against the radiator and hold everything together against the radiator support. But like this, if you go back to my old videos, I even cut this down because it was like that deep, and I cut it down to like that deep because this part of the fan was what was almost hitting right there. So this is actually nice because it looks like it'll make changing the belt way easier. So you need to look at my checklist and see what's next, but I'll knock some more stuff out. Maybe the throttle cable, fuel lines. I gotta figure out how to make this throttle cable work. That's the low car. But the instructions suck. So I gotta figure that out. Check this out. I was messing with this and I actually got it to work. So I'm happy. And no, it's not gonna stay like this. I need to sand it some more, both sides. It's not gonna be perfect, but I think it's gonna match the car. This is the 6-cylinder one, that's why it has this hump right here. And I'm happy to be able to use it this time. I wasn't able the first time. So this will get cleaned off. This is just in there for test fitting. So I'm really happy how that came out. And then the intake tube should still fit just fine. It's got a squeeze on there, but once it's squeezed on there, it'll clear that. So this is gonna fit. And I'm really excited about that because I always wanted to use that little shroud. But then I cranked out some more work today. I got the liner back in and got the MSD wired. I'm keeping the battery tray in there even though there's no battery because I have the terminal block underneath here. And so now I wired this in, got a fat power wire to it. The fans are actually wired in. And I'm just gonna clean up, loom all this stuff. Just do a little more cleanup, but basically the fans are wired. And I didn't think I'd get that done. So that is done. And it's getting a lot closer. So I will check back here very soon. I was gonna do the throttle cable, but I ran into a little problem where the connection from the new cable this doesn't connect to my factory pedal. So I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that. So this feels like everything I do in this thing is like a modification. And that's why everything's taken so long, because I'm basically redoing the whole swap. Like whole new radiator and fan setup, new wiring, whole new engine harness, transmission. Yeah, so I kind of feel like I'm almost doing the swap all over again, except for some of the basic, like the engine mounts and, headers and stuff. But that's why it's taking longer, and plus I'm lazy, so we're getting there. Well, guys, I finally got some stuff done. So radiator is done. I'm not happy with the way this hose is fitting. So I'm not sure what to do about that. I'm thinking about maybe getting some silicone hoses and maybe doing like a 2-piece hose, like a hard piece in the center. I gotta figure that out because this is not gonna cut it. That one's still good. The bottom hose is still good. Anyways, the radiator's all hooked up. I'm happy with the fit. The only thing I'd criticize on this is that they make this so tight that you can't get this bracket, this clamp barely in there between the outlet and the fan shroud. So either bend this back when you get it or do something. I was hitting on that, trying to get it pushed back, and that clamp it's on there, but I'm not really happy with it. I don't like the angle this comes out. I mean, obviously this can turn a different way, but I think I'd rather have this turn down like more, like right here. And this came plugged. It didn't come with this fitting. I got this fitting off the other radiator, which is funny because the other one was an eBay radiator and it came with that. So I feel like this should have had this barb fitting for the steam port. I mean, if it came with this, it should have had that. And I know that technically this is supposed to be higher, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. So then I threw down some quick trim paint on this piece, and I'm happy with the way it fits. And then it made me want to throw the intake on just to see how well that fit with that. And it fits with plenty of clearance. The only thing I'm worried about is that's really tight. It's not hitting, but it's tight. But if I don't know. I got to figure something out. I don't know if I should get a longer tube or a shorter filter. Or maybe it'll just be fine. I don't know. I could just rotate this 45 more, like point it down more, and then pull it this way. I don't know. Anyways, so the major things I got left to do are I got to modify the throttle cable, and then I'm trying to save all the wiring till last. And then I also found another issue. Let me grab my little light. This guy. So I went to go put the exhaust on, and I ran into a major problem. Major problem. That's the problem. Crossmember is right in the way. So I'm putting this piece in. I thought I could do two different ways. I thought I could maybe dent the pipe, but I don't really want to dent the pipe. I feel like a more permanent solution is to cut and modify this crossmember. So I'm thinking like what I'll do is take it off, cut it, maybe make this transition right here more dramatic, like right from here up and over, and get rid of this little dip. I got enough room up above it to go higher, so that's gonna be fun. Let me go check the other side, see if the other side is just as bad. This one might actually slip by. Let me try this real quick. that one almost clears. Like, if the other side cleared as well as this side did, I wouldn't modify anything. But since I'm already modifying that side, I think I'll go ahead and modify this side too. I'm gonna save that for next video. Yeah, it's I thought that cross member was gonna be a slam dunk, but it is not a slam dunk. So it is obviously not gonna work. But I'm happy with the progress. Sorry. I have a goal of getting this going by my birthday, which is like May 9th. Like, it is May 9th. And so that gives me a little over a month, like almost a month and a half, basically a month and a half. No, yeah, to get this thing done. And with the amount I've been working on it lately, the amount I've been getting done, I think it is doable. So I'd like to get everything buttoned up out there and then come in here and I'll probably wire it all loosely, like on the floor. And then once it runs, hopefully it runs, then I will worry about making a nice mount and tucking it. But for now, it'll just be get it going, make sure it runs, then start buttoning up and fine cleaning stuff. But there it is. Trying to get out of my slacker habits and get stuff done. And today just happens to be like one 70-degree day in the midst of rain, gloominess, clouds, and cold. So nice to have the garage door open and not have to have the heater on right now. Something 72 degrees in here. I'll deal with that. And then I can get all this cleaned up. Anyways, I'm rambling. Bye.